Hello from welcome back, or not welcome back, welcome to The Glass Staircase, a puppet combo game. This game actually has been getting a decent amount of attention. I've noticed on Twitter, or puppet combo is actually getting a good amount of exposure on this game, so it's happy times for indie developers to be getting any kind of attention. It's always a good thing. So this game must be obviously awesome if it's getting that kind of attention. I had originally played this and it was like a demo version, I don't know, like 0.1, just a very pre-alpha demo. And the recording got fucked. So the first part of the game I probably know, but this is 0.85. And the final latter part of the game will be released soon after. And when that happens, I'll be able to replay it and get the finale of what is missing and being fully polished, I guess, for release. So either way, let's get into it and see how the game is. I'm sure it's very awesome. Of course, too, if you like my content, be sure to hit that like button if you haven't, and hit that subscribe button if you also haven't. Become a subscriber. So let's get into it. And it's supposed to be, if I remember, comparable to, I'd say like the Red Rose game or something. That was like a PlayStation 2 game, I think. It was a really annoying looking game. But, or the Clock Tower? I don't know. You can make it for yourself of what you think it reminds you of. It's not like my history of horror games on the PlayStation 2 were really any good. There's a lot of old classics that I've missed that are obviously PC, not on PC, or will need to be emulated, but it'll be awesome ideas for streaming later. So many good classics. It's like we already did like most of the Silent Hill games, so that with that all out of the way, it's like Alone in the Dark and Clock Tower series. There's so many games I want to stream. So this is it. It stars this girl in like what I think is an orphanage, and at least in this playthrough, unless there's different endings, I'm going to take the tablet. Even though doing this could be a bad idea. I don't know. You shouldn't go. Why is that? You shouldn't go. I have been called. Or will be called. Attention, attention, this is the estate. Helen, if you've already taken your tablet, please, we've prepared a new task for you. The letter on the table. Good girls take their medicine, good girls do their chores, that is all. Okay, that font went way too fast. That went way too fast. And that was different from what it had said before. It said something different before, and I remember there not being cups on all the end tables. They picked you, Helen. I can't wait to go home myself. A musty wardrobe, nothing of interest. I hope I'm next. Like, everyone is like all wishful and happy to be called. Except for that girl. She knows something. Or is very skeptical. And we also have this nice Resident Evil style door opening. Which I remember, of course, Puppet Combo teasing on Twitter, having made it for a loading screen. But other than that, just as it was in the previous game, it has nice piano music playing, and it warps whenever I go into a camera perspective change. I find it the glitchy sound like that. I sort of like it. I don't know, it may not be intentional, or it may be intentional, but I like it. The door to the balcony, and it's locked. Probably a bedroom, it's locked. But it's an interesting atmosphere. It's very different from the usual Puppet Combo style games. The only thing I would say, given my possible feedback, even though it may not be accepted, but I would think, being how the environment is very silent very Silent Hill-esque, is I think the player's model is not pixelated enough. I can sort of get the impression like this model is, like, sort of like, just look at it. It's like, she's pixelated like everything else, but I feel like it's not pixelated enough, or her movement is too fluid in contrast to what seems like a staticky, filmy environment. For some reason, it just feels like the girl doesn't sort of mesh with the environment. But at the same time, it's strange as a developer. Oh wait, they extended this. I wasn't here before. At the same time, you have to be careful, of course, when you make games like, say, the biggest complaint with Halo 5, for instance, was enemies and colors mesh and mix in way too well with each other, so everything doesn't stand out. This is weird. It's just a dead end. So that's always the issue, at least with game development. You have to have it so your character pops out enough so you always know where your character is and your eyes don't lose focus. At the same time, you don't want them popping out and seeming like they don't belong in the universe you've placed them in. So I would think a more pixelated character or more pixelated PlayStation 2 sort of boxy skirt would probably do better. But that's just my opinion. It's locked. All I know is in the direction, and one thing I'm going to be prepared for is when I reach the piano. Everything else, to my recollection, would be locked and there'd be nothing to find. Except maybe a note. Did I find a note before? I can't remember. Honestly, I can't. If I'm told there's multiple endings, then I'll be more thorough, but all I know is go to piano, and make sure my volume is lower for a certain situation. After that, then the game is just brand new and I'm unfamiliar with it at that point in time. So we got a piano here, and another clock. Ah, a journal. I didn't actually read this. November 11th, 1918. Edward at last returned home from the Great War. I give thanks to the Lord for his safe return from Germany. To think that just days before he was ripped from me to be a doctor in the war, we were married. He's returning to his job at Queen Mary's Hospital in London. What a dreadful drive it is back and forth, day in, day out. And with the epidemic that's been plaguing the countryside, well, I worry for his health. God willing, he'll be all right as he helps those poor souls. My husband hasn't been the same since he went back to work. For weeks, he's been spending more time in the basement than the rest of the house. He doesn't even come to bed most nights. I sometimes find him asleep down there in his lab, asleep on his desk, and during the day, no less. I asked him if he himself should visit the hospital for a checkup, but he brushed it off, saying how he's a doctor and how he knows better than me. I fucking hate those kinds of people. I can't help but fret, though he barely touches the meals Maria makes him. He used to love her cooking so very much. I fear she and the rest of the hired help are worried as well. If the world is to know anything of me from this journal, let it be that I have always been an understanding wife. The love I've felt for Edward in all our years together was never waned, not in the loneliness and uncertainty of the war, and not in the new growing void between us, this void of obsession. As many fears that I've had, I've always put the rational aside when I heard him assure us that these experiments were necessary and that they were going to repair what faith his colleagues once had in his ideas. Perhaps even save the lives of so many more that still suffer the horrible affliction. Something about a lab, an affliction, and a disease about this game's universe. Spectacular a thought as that may be, his words were all I had during the war, and they're all I have now. The faith his promises provided me, however, is becoming too worn to be of any new comfort. Though it was far against his will, I've been privy to the growing scope of his work for a while now. What started off as the same treatments and experiments that I've followed him through for years has become something else entirely. Large, horrible structures have been his focus for some time now. They look as mechanical as any transport I've seen, but their shapes are much more ornate. The iron that holds their frames has been carved so deliberately, with hellish shapes, though they resemble something I am beyond being able to describe exactly. To call these metal shells sinister would be admitting I even understand what they are, and what they're supposed to accomplish. This is far from any medicine that I've known him to practice, but he continues with his cold, affirming responses. His distance only seems to widen from his work and from the sciences that he swears by, but I can only sit as idle as I can, swearing some hope that his plans are going as he says. It is hard to ignore the things I'm hearing in the night, the murmurs of the help as they come to me for some kind of assurance, expecting that I know my husband's actions half as well as a good wife should. I have nothing for them but the promises that he gives me. He's a doctor. He knows what he's doing. Nothing I say to them can be said in confidence anymore. I may be an understanding wife, but there are limits to even my understanding. I see. With that interesting scope of story, I'm not going to touch the piano yet, or I'm going to. You get a key to my... But I'm not going to go where the key needs to be used. I want to look for more story elements, because when the next part of the game updates, I'm told that I can continue the game exactly where I left off. So with that said and done, I do want to obviously read every journal, every paper I can find, so then we know everything, rather than miss story elements, because I'm thorough. There's no reason for me to rush through this, so I'll skip ahead and scour the house in hopes to find more notes that are important. Because I know where I need to use the key, and it's the front door over here. These doors. We don't want to go there yet. Not yet. Alright, I found something. I don't think I read this before either. Helen, though your time here has been short, it is still important that you can be determined as reliable. We would like you to begin tending the front garden of the estate twice a day. Estate, period. Twice a day you will need to feed and water the flower bed as well as maintain the hedges. We are willing to trust this task to you as you become very regular in taking your medicine, where some of the girls are somewhat unreliable. You can't expect your parents to want you back if you're unreliable, can you? To dissuade the others from running about outside, we've hidden the key beneath the downstairs piano. Please return it when you're done, each day, and be sure to let none of the other girls see you. You're a good girl, Helen. I see. It's important that I read that then, because if there are multiple endings, then one would be curious on, if it's linear, then it's just be a good girl, see how the story progresses against or with the flow of what you're doing things. If it's multiple endings, be a good girl and then be a bad girl, or vice versa. So obviously, I'm going to presume my task is to go to the garden and do my daily chores, to be a good girl, and then return the key before going back to bed. And the demo, I would just use the key in the door and then it ended there. So really, this game was super short before. I think this is what I read before. Hang on. That sound you were hearing, the one at night in your dreams, that one has been ringing in your head since our days in the trenches. It never went away, did it? Mine neither. Martin, it's starting to make sense. There's been this heat I felt all the way in Scottsdale. It's been burning in me for months, filling my head with dreams. Beautiful dreams. They've been telling me where to go. Sure, I was worried I was crazy, but I've met others along the way, and we've all seen it, all felt it. It's not some made-up illness they've given to us, it's something real. This beautiful machine. It opens doors. I've seen it in my dreams, and I think I need to find it. I think it's where we're headed. This is something so much larger than I thought, Martin, than I could ever dream. If your dreams have been speaking to you as well, then you owe it to yourself. Come to the address marked on this envelope It's some manner that I've seen the eyes open above. Come with us, it's going to be so beautiful. Sincerely, Lieutenant Grayson Dobbs. Yes, I remember reading that. So it's something about, presumably, these afflictions and the disease and the so-called machine. The affliction or disease, let's say it's like Silent Hill, where you just turn into some weird husk. This doctor apparently has been trying to cure it, or is the one creating it and experimenting on it, or where he was trying to cure it at first, is now assisting in its creation. That, like any other kind of hive mind, perhaps, in the mutilation and affliction or disease that transforms a human into something else, whether it's partly machine like Silent Hill-esque style, or something else, is they start hallucinating or seeing things like multi-dimensional gateways of something else, let's just say. So with that said and done, I think I read all the notes, and we're going to go through the door. And wink wink, I'm turning down my volume. You've unlocked it. I'm turning up my volume now. It won't mean anything. Even then, I maybe shouldn't even said any of that. Because I'm going to be turning it down and editing anyways. Alright, I'm just going to pause it here. Plenty of gameplay. I've been playing for now 36 minutes. So I'm going to leave it here and just split the episode. I hope you don't mind. And I'm just going to leave it here. The next episode will be more emphasis on day 2 and the ending of day 2 and exciting things to come. So I hope you have been enjoying, and if you have been enjoying, then please leave a like, comment, hit that subscribe button, become a subscriber, hit the notification down below for updates on my videos. Thank you for watching, and until next time.